Hello and welcome to Super Critics, the show where I, Robbie Fox, alongside Chris Klemmer, will rank just about every superhero comic book movie ever made. Today, we are doing Superman 2, 1980 or 1981, depending on
81 in America.
what country you're in. 81 in America.
Came out like 6 months earlier. Where? In
Australia?
Yeah, it's so weird.
6 months?
6 months.
Which, today's culture, you can't imagine that with sports.
No, because you're right.
Just as a reminder, we're doing these every single Thursday. The next 3 weeks will be Swamp Thing, followed by Superman 3, followed by Supergirl. Now, Superman 3, I've seen a long time ago. Bits and pieces still pop up on Twitter nowadays because it's not the greatest movie. It's not, hailed very well. Swamp Thing, I've never seen. Supergirl, I've also never seen.
That's crazy. Swamp Thing. So Swamp Thing up next, we've never seen it. Yep. Our first one where neither of us have seen that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've heard good things. I don't know what to expect.
I'm excited for that one. I'm also excited to see Supergirl leading into a summer where we're getting a Supergirl movie.
True.
And contrast a little. Although we won't, have it to compare to yet, but
correct.
We will in the summer.
In the future.
Yeah.
And then 4 years from now when we cover that movie.
yeah.
I like this movie a lot. This is not one I grew up with a ton, oddly. For whatever reason, Superman 1 and Superman 3 were always on HBO. Superman 2 wasn't on as much when I was a little kid. I'm sure if there are people a little bit older than me, I'm sure this was on all the time. For whatever reason, it just didn't always hit. So I haven't seen this one a super ton. I've seen it, a dozen times, but it wasn't like I saw it hundreds and hundreds of times. I enjoy this movie. This movie is a mess. It's a bizarre movie. It's very weird. It feels like a comic book.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, more so than almost any movie I can think of pre-Marvel stuff.
Definitely more so than any of the movies we've discussed.
Oh, by
so
far.
Yeah.
And I think any of the movies we will discuss for a while.
Yeah, this, I agree with everything you said. It's a bit of a mess. You can't really compare it to the original in terms of quality. Like, that movie is just so, across the board, feels so complete and iconic and everything fits into place. Doesn't have the same vibe with Superman 2. Feels like a mess. And the behind the scenes might be more interesting to talk about than the actual movie itself. But I think this is more influential to the modern day superhero movie than even Superman was. Just in terms of watching it, seeing something like the trio fight, obviously, and even the way that the villains arise in this feels very modern. It still feels fresh to me. The moon scene and everything like that. I agree. Feels very fresh. But then also like the losing powers thing, which is not one of the things about this movie that I love, but it's been used time and time again. Spider-Man 2 with Tobey loses his powers.
It was also a comic book trope for a while,
Comic book trope, exactly. But I feel like every time it's done, there are little pieces of Superman 2 in it. Thor losing his hammer in Ragnarok, Captain America losing his shield in Civil War. Even things like that have pieces of this in it, I think.
So I disagree with your first point. Superman 1 is way more influential, I think, to comic book movies than Superman 2 is. Just because the origin story. I think about all that encompasses. I feel like there's traces of Superman 1 throughout. Having said, though, I think this is still influential. Both things can be true. I think both things.
Obviously, both are, and obviously, we don't get this without Superman 1. I just think if you were to compare both movies to a modern-day Marvel movie, say, I think a Marvel movie looks closer to this one. It's a little faster. Everything is, again, kind of jumbled and messy, but it moves along quicker, gets into the main storyline quicker.
It does. It also has, mixes in humor, which is we're going to talk about that in a second. There's two directors for this, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so there is humor kind of forced in here, which you see in a lot of Marvel movies.
Yep.
And you do have that element of the losing his powers, and then that kind of climactic fight scene, which feels very Marvel-ish.
Yeah, and another thing you don't get in Superman 1, where that's more about saving.
Correct.
This, you actually just get a fight scene.
You do.
And it kind of rocks. I like the fight scene, yeah.
Would you care to step outside?
Superman.
Let's talk about the director stuff now. I have at the end of the show, I'll talk about the Salkinds, the producers, and I have a long
to talk about them.
It's one of the most bizarre Hollywood stories ever. The Salkinds, the people that produced it. I'll wait until the end of the show. I have a long story about that. But let's talk about directors, because that actually affects this film directly.
Yes.
So here's what happened. Just a quick timeline. The original plan was to film Superman 1 and Superman 2 at the same time. Done to save money. They were running late doing it this way. So they're like, fuck it. Let's just finish Superman 1 and we'll go back to Superman 2.
Yep.
75% of Superman 2 had already been done. Richard Donner is the director, blah, blah, blah. They go and they promote this film. During that time, of Superman 1, Richard Donner fell out of favor with the Salkinds. And there's a guy named Pierre Spengler, and I'll talk about him a bit more when we get into them. He's basically like a spy for the Salkinds. He was this guy on set, and then he would just report back to the Salkinds everything that was going wrong or that was going right, and also was a kind of just a negative force there. Mm-hmm. Richard Donner's trying to direct this movie. This Pierre Spengler guy constantly like up his ass. They didn't give him a budget at first, which is also a famous Salkind trick. They don't give you a budget because then you're always over budget.
Yes.
The second you have a budget, you can't be over under. So there was he was just a mess. So Superman 1 came out, did very well financially, was getting a lot of love from critics too. And Donner said, "Listen, I'll go back and finish the rest of these Superman 2, but I'm not doing it with Spengler's there. I'm not doing the spy there. Fuck this." And the Salkinds basically said, "All right, well then, fuck you. Then you're gone."
Yeah.
And they replaced him with Richard Lester. Now, Richard Lester would go on and direct Superman 3, which was definitely more his movie. And wanted more humor, wanted more silliness. Where Richard Donner wanted more of an epic, a big scope, which I prefer personally. I prefer more of an epic scope. When they went back, there was a lot of issues of who would come back. You had the scriptwriter basically quit because he was a Donner guy. Other people quit. Gene Hackman said, "I'm not going to go back and do."
Yeah, he thought it was ridiculous having to refilm a lot of the scenes that he had filmed for no reason.
Yeah, so the real reason they wanted to refilm a lot of stuff was the only way that Richard Lester would get director's credit if he shot 40% of the film, or they could share credit. Richard Donner said, "I don't share credit with anybody. Fuck you," basically. So they had to reshoot a bunch of stuff just so Lester get this credit, also so it could be like Lester's stamp on the movie. Yeah. And Gene Hackman I think was just done with this at this point. Was ready to go on and do other stuff. He didn't want to then fly back to England or fly back to wherever they were doing this and do other stuff. So every shot you see in this movie that has Gene Hackman in it was Richard Donner directed it.
Yep.
The diner scene when Superman doesn't have powers and gets powers back, that's all Richard Donner.
That's one of the most iconic sequences from the whole movie too. I would argue like a top 10. Like when people think Superman 2, they think of the diner scene.
I agree.
For sure.
Oh. I will say, to Lester's credit, although I'm definitely a pro-Donner guy, anti-Lester guy, the fight scene at the end, which I guess they actually shot in New York originally, which is wild. There's a Donner cut out there you can find. You can buy it. It's available. When they reshot it, they did it on a sound stage. I think it's pretty good, and that's all Lester.
Yeah, I think Lester also did the Eiffel Tower sequence. At least
correct. The entire Eiffel Tower. Yeah. That wasn't even in the original movie.
And the Donner cut opened in the Daily Planet, I believe. So the Donner cut sort of was the original Snyder cut in a way of this was talked about for decades, literally. Yes. People being like, "There's a Donner cut out there that's so much better. It's 10 times better." I think I wasn't following along with this in 2006 when it dropped before Superman Returns, but I think the general response when it came out was underwhelming. I think a lot of people, there are people that for sure prefer the Donner cut.
Oh, when the Donner cut finally came out, it was underwhelming? Yes.
Because a lot of people were surprised at how similar it was to the Superman 2 that we have. It's not the most drastic changes in the world. There are little tweaks here and there that people prefer. They do a time travel thing again in the Donner cut, which I think is crazy to go back on.
I know.
I think
that's because it was supposed to be one. The original script was one movie.
Yes, we talked about that on our Superman review, which was 500 pages. It was insane.
Correct. And then even when they trimmed it down, it was still going to be one movie, but it was still too much. And that had the time travel thing, which then makes a lot more sense than a hypnotic kiss, which is stupid.
And that's tough. There are certain things in this movie that I can't believe that Bryan Singer, 20 years later, he's like, "I want to do a sequel to Superman Returns, or I want to do Superman Returns as a sequel to Superman 2.
Right.
We're going to ignore 3 and 4, and I really want to focus in on the hypnotic kiss." And they talk about that in the movie and stuff. Thinking about that as an adult, I remember seeing Superman Returns opening night and being like, what am I watching? Because it is a lot to follow from this to lead into that. It's just, this was a mess to begin with, so you're trying to make a mess on a mess.
Yeah. I mean, it's also the movie also kind of lies to you. Oh, I like this movie, by the way. This is a movie I'm going to heavily recommend. Too. It's going to be hot. We only have so many movies on the list, but this is going to end up in the top half of when we're all done.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I will preface that as well.
When he loses his powers, you hear the voice say, "When you lose your powers, it's permanent." And then because he sees a crystal in the snow, he gets them back.
I don't like that at all.
I don't explain it, and that kind of falls back on Lester, in my opinion, because the original scriptwriter left with Donner. So and Mankiewicz, who was the original scriptwriter, I believe does a good job because he wrote Superman 1, and that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
So there are, like I said, there are major, but then there's like really good scenes in this movie. All the stuff with Zod is fantastic. Those 3 villains are great. The fight scene's awesome. Them going into like a random East Houston or whatever. They didn't even get it right, Houston.
Yeah.
Going to this weird like little town is destroying it. It's kind of fucking awesome.
Yeah, my favorite part of this movie is for sure Terrence Stamp as Zod. He's so good. And in a different way, when I criticized Gene Hackman a little bit and said he doesn't feel like the comic book version of this character to me, Terrence Stamp really does feel like the comic book version of Zod to me. The kneel before Zod stuff in the Oval Office.
Rise before Zod. No. Kneel before Zod.
So good.
So good.
Like, that is amazing. The moon sequence, I legitimately think, is maybe my favorite sequence in the movie because it has a little bit of like a horror feel. It's a little bit scary when these people are approaching the astronauts and they're like, am I hallucinating? It looked like a girl, and it's almost played comedically. It is funny, like, I think it's scary, and then she like punts one of them and they make like that cartoon punch sound, that but like there are moments of that where I'm like, this is like serious. If I was a kid watching this in a movie theater in 1981 here in the States, I think that would scare the shit out of me.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, there's a couple in that one sequence. There's a couple nods to the first movie. So he keeps saying Artemis, which is the name of the cop that dies in Superman 1 that gets pushed into the thing. I
didn't even pick that up.
And then you'll get, once again, won't make any relevance to you, but John Ratzenberger, the guy that plays Cliff from Cheers, he's in this scene as well. So like you get more John Ratzenberger, which if you watch Cheers and you're a kid of the 80s, you're like, he's back. Cliff's back again. Yeah. But Artemis, and I think when they do that, they're basically, both scenes kind of work the same way. The train situation where they push the cop into the train, and then this when they're killing the people on the moon. It's like, these are ruthless criminals. Yeah. They will kill. This isn't a cartoon. This isn't a George Reeves like fun Superman or a Batman, campy Batman. These guys are murderers. These guys are killers, and you gotta be careful. These are real villains.
Yeah. Terrence Stamp, rest in peace, legend.
Just died
last year, right?
Yeah. There's a few people from this movie still alive, including the director Richard Lester, who's 94 now. He directed
told me that.
Help. He directed Hard Day's Night. He's
Crazy.
Still alive.
I love both those movies.
Crazy.
It's so much fun. Those are such like comfort movies for me. You throw them on, it's just good vibes.
So what do you? Obviously, you still get Christopher Reeve. You still get Margot Kidder, who I think give incredible performances here in this.
Great.
Movie. Gene Hackman, you can tell. I mean, I know they obviously all did this during Superman 1, so it kind of feels like weird. They have Ned Beatty in the beginning, and then they leave him in jail. We get Miss Tessmacher in the hot air balloon, and then she's gone. And then you will see, if you pay attention, a lot of a stunt double. Like when they're flying to Fortress of Solitude, and Margot Kidder is on the back of, it's Non, right?
Yes.
She's in the back of Non, and then in theory, Lex is supposed to be in the back of the female Ursa.
Yeah.
But it's not him. It's clearly not him. Yeah. And then even like you can hear like he'll say stuff. It's clearly not Gene Hackman saying it because he just wouldn't go back for the reshoot.
Yeah. So
they were stuck. So they had to like. But it all does feel kind of forced by the end. Like they're all at the Fortress of Solitude. They're all. Yeah. But it kind of feels like a comic book in a way.
The first half is better than the second half, I would say. I love the fight at the end, but I do think the first half of the movie is like, I think it really moves and it's really fun. I love the Niagara Falls sequence. Like that's another classic one where it really does make me laugh. It's like the second Clark turns his back.
Yes.
Lois is screaming bloody murder because a kid has fallen over Niagara Falls.
And I think that's all Lester.
Oh, is it?
I know
that's a good sequence.
I know for a fact Lester shot the one where Lois jumps in the falls and then grabs the log.
Yeah.
That I believe is Lester.
Yeah.
Now, some people have an issue with in the final fight scene, there's like elements of it being silly, like Zod is blowing the air and it blows off someone's toupee. A guy falls in a phone booth and he's still having the conversation. Yeah. Like that's all very Lester. We see a lot of that in Superman 3.
Yeah. That is silly. It's goofy, but like,
does that bother you?
No, not really. It's just like, it doesn't bother me, but it makes me take the movie less seriously.
Is that bad? I don't know.
Movies,
I think it would have been really bad if it was in Superman 1.
Yeah.
Superman 1 has this one just feels kind of all over the place anyway.
Like this is the epitome of like a sequel where it gets a little cheesier, a little not as good, maybe knock, a couple stars off the original rating, but it probably could have been Empire Strikes Back if it was all hit to a T with Zod as the villain, if you nailed everything, I think it could have been like, wow, that was even better than the first one.
I
Darker
wonder.
and you know.
So when this came out, it was very well received. I think Roger Ebert might have given it 4 stars. He really loved the stuff with Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve. I think Gene Siskel said it was better than the first one. There was some of that. I think it was recency bias. I think obviously
and it's a very crowd-pleasing movie for sure.
It is.
Like the first one, it's like designed to please crowds on opening weekend.
Yes. I feel it's even more of a crowd pleaser in a way than the first one is. In a way.
You get them kicking ass.
Because you get the
That's
fight
a big
scene.
thing where you're like, yeah, Superman.
Right.
It's not, I'm so glad he saved those people. It's kick his fucking ass.
And then at the end, he beats up the bully at the diner.
Which I love that too, yeah.
Like, that is ultimate crowd pleaser.
I love that. And it's so fucked up and like almost antithetical to who Superman is as well. But I love it anyway. I don't care.
Yeah, he wanted some revenge.
Yeah, he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get that douchebag.
Yeah. And like just like even though he slides him across the it's very silly.
I like that though. I really do like that scene.
I do too. I like it a lot.
But again, it's that scene wouldn't be in the movie if this were quote unquote The Empire Strikes Back of the franchise. You're not getting a scene like that in there. You're not getting a toupee scene in there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So why did Superman have to lose his powers? It gives the impression that the only way he could fuck is if he's mortal.
Yeah.
Right? That's because they immediately then go fuck. So like,
sort of does, yeah.
Why is his sperm like gonna destroy her?
Well, that's a conversation had in Mallrats.
Yes.
Literally, they talk about
Super sperm.
would he have to wear a kryptonite condom? And I think that's a valid question where you're like, how would that work? You wouldn't need to just blow her back out. Listen, I don't want to be vulgar on this show, but like,
Right, God
I
forbid.
think you got to wear the kryptonite condom.
The only way he could bang regular chicks is with a kryptonite condom. That would kill him.
I mean, it does, but it does seem to give that impression that they can't have sex unless.
And they do a lot of like Family Feud innuendo where, they try to get Steve Harvey to have a zany reaction. Like even the scene where she finds out the fire, he goes in the fire and he's like, you're going to have to like hear all of it. And I swear she like looks at his dick, like all of it? Like,
and that's Lester.
It's very, and it's very like.
Because I think the O'Donnell
They do
one.
some sexual innuendo in the first one too.
No, but that scene is Lester.
Okay.
I think she was going to maybe shoot him with but use
and then
like blanks or something like that. I saw the Donna cut when it came out. I haven't seen it since. I probably should go do a rewatch. But I believe that scene is Lester with
the fire thing is goofy, but I like the conversation it follows.
Me too.
Like it's just a little silly that he like trips and falls into the fire.
Right.
But then it's also excused by her being like, your mind wanted to do that, even if that happened. My favorite Clark Kent delivery in this movie comes during the Niagara Falls scene where he goes to get her like the orange juice or whatever, and she goes to tell him freshly squeezed, and the way he goes, yeah, freshly squeezed, I know. It's so unbelievably nerdy and perfect that like I can't believe it came out of Superman. Like it really does. It's like
so
you're
good.
playing two roles in this movie in such a good way. Yeah, freshly squeezed, I know. It's so funny.
Freshly squeezed.
I know, okay.
I love when she figures it out in the hotel room, and this is Lester. She figures it out in the hotel room, and he has that moment of like, and he punches a table like I'm boxed in.
Fuck.
I can't get out of this. She figured it out. It's just it's over because it wasn't like an angry thing. It was more just like a, God damn it.
And it's like
Very relatable.
there's also like a loss of innocence to their relationship a little
Yes.
bit, but then he like very quickly accepts that and postures up and turns around without
All right.
the glasses, and it's like that's my Superman right there. It's time to face the facts. Let's address this. Let's have the full conversation. I like that scene a lot.
Me too.
Shout out Lester for that. Yeah, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, so like I said, there is some good Lester in this. There is.
He gets too much flack because this mythical Donner cut that everyone built up in their minds for so long. I think. Like Lester wasn't really. I mean, maybe he doesn't because we'll talk about Superman 3 and 4. But for this movie
Only he
in
did do
particular,
4. He only did 3.
Okay.
To be fair.
I was gonna say for this
No
movie
one
in
wants
particular,
credit for 4. We'll get there.
well, like he did, I think, the job he was hired to do for the most part. It seems like.
Well, let's get into it now then. Want to get into the Salkinds?
Well, let's get into Salkinds.
So here's my story in the Salkinds, who I despise greatly because they've ruined this franchise, which could have been great. Now you could also say they gave birth to the franchise, but whatever. They made this movie, the father and son. You have Alexander the dad, Ilya's the son. They made a movie called The Three Musketeers. But what they didn't tell the actors who were making it was actually you're making 2 movies, Three Musketeers and Four Musketeers. we're going to split this up. We're not going to tell you. That way we're getting 2 for 1. Since then, and it's still a law in Hollywood, there's what's called the Salkind rule, which means if you're an actor, I cannot have you be in 2 movies without your consent.
It's a good rule.
Yes, it is, right. Which is why this was originally planned as 2 movies, because they wanted to pull the same bullshit again in Superman 1 and 2. Well, 3 Musketeers and 4 Musketeers both come out, both make decent amount of money, nothing like this, but both did moderately well, and they were able to use that money to buy the rights to Superman.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now they own Superman. So now they go ahead and put this movie together, they try to hire people, yada, yada, yada. Directors, one guy Guy Hamilton was going to direct it, he got sick. Went down to Donner, who was never really their first choice, but ended up being there. But they have this guy, Pierre Spangler, told you on set. Told you kind of what happened there. Superman 1, it was kind of a nightmare. Very early on, Donner and the Salkinds stopped talking to each other. Then Donner stopped talking to Spangler. So then they brought in Richard Lester, who knew Richard Donner. Richard Lester was owed money from the Salkinds. Everyone sues the Salkinds, by the way. Everyone. You go through it, it's wild. And sure enough, Lester won the suit, but the Salkinds were delaying paying him. And they said, listen, we'll get you that money quicker if you come help us out with this.
Gotcha.
So he became an intermediary. But he ended up siding more and more with the Salkinds because that's where the money was. And by the end of the movie, he was very clearly a Salkind guy. They go and do press for this movie. The Salkinds then try to rush this into production. Meanwhile, Donner's promoting the first movie. Yeah. And they're like, well, maybe you're not available. He's like, I'm not available because I'm promoting your movie. Can't do that. So they end up, we talked about what happened. He gets fired. They bring, Lester comes in full boat. Lester and John Williams go and sit down to talk about the score. They get into a huge fight. That's why it's not John Williams' score. It's this other guy, Ken Thorne, I think his name is.
Yeah.
That's why the score doesn't sound right.
It doesn't, no.
The theme doesn't sound quite right.
It's noticeably different without John Williams.
And it's really distracting. I think the stuff they do with the Zod stuff, like that, I don't know what they call that. You're like a glockenspiel, whatever that rattle is.
Yeah.
It's an evil rattle. It's very
cool.
good.
Yeah.
But the rest of it's like sounds like a store brand version of the score. It doesn't sound right.
I don't know if this will sound right. It feels like they leaned into the sci-fi elements of the music too much. In a way, sometimes they're using synths and stuff where maybe that was also just like the early 80s we were getting into that sound, where sometimes the music doesn't match the movie that we're watching on screen.
It doesn't match anywhere near what the first one did, John Williams' magic. And John Williams stormed out of the thing, and I guess told the Salkinds, like, I can't work with this guy. Like, this Richard Lester guy. This guy's
maybe I shouldn't have been glazing Richard Lester.
Which, honestly,
that credit.
John Williams been in the business for 50-plus years. Seems to work pretty well with a lot of people for
I've never heard of him getting into a fight with someone.
Very long time with Spielberg and other people he's worked with forever. So, to me, that's a Richard Lester problem.
Yeah.
Now, Richard Lester, to be fair, though, got along famous with the Beatles.
Yeah.
It helped, did A Hard Day's Night, but whatever. Okay, so they make Superman 2. And it ends up being well-received and everything. But then the Salkinds get thinking that their shit doesn't stink. So they make Superman 3, doesn't work. They make Supergirl, that doesn't work.
Coming soon on Super Critics.
Correct. There is constant lawsuits going around. They wrote basically Margot Kidder out of the third one because she was a Donner. She was pro-Donner. She came back and did the reshoots because she had to.
She didn't want to do a lot.
She didn't want to do it. Christopher Reeve didn't either, but they gave him more creative control and they massaged him. They didn't really massage her. And they basically, that's why she's not in 3. Like they basically, and she's really not in 4 either. Yeah. For the same reason. So the Salkinds are just like running around making these movies. Meanwhile, they're getting sued left and right. It all ends very sad, where they end up making this movie, 1492. I think that's what it's called. It's a Columbus movie with Marlon Brando again. Oh, by the way, the reason Brando's not in this because they weren't going to pay him.
Yeah, because they couldn't use stuff that was already shot.
Correct.
Which then is in the Donner.
Who, of course, sued them. Won his lawsuit, I believe.
Everyone's suing these guys.
Everyone's suing these guys. Yeah. So they make this movie called 1492, and it's with Tom Selleck, not as Columbus. It was like someone I had never heard of as Columbus. Marlon Brando, also obviously not as Columbus, but was in it, got paid $5 million for this movie. And it ended up being such a disastrous shoot that what happens to Salkinds? They sue everybody. The son sued the father for $10 million. Won, I think, $7 million in this lawsuit. And these people were just constantly being cheap, telling people they're going to pay them, not paying, kind of just like dirty. the kind of people you just never want to get in business with.
Yeah.
And they really ruined this franchise by going cheap, by running out real talent, and by doing things, always trying to like save a penny.
Yeah.
And because of that, they turned this lovely franchise, which we could have gotten 3 more movies just like this one. Why not?
Yeah.
And instead, we get Superman 3, which is not good. Superman 4 is horrific. We'll get there.
With Tommy Smokes, I believe.
Tommy Smokes, who claims he loves it.
Yeah.
Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wild conversation. But they ran it into the ground, and we could have had something really wonderful here. I'm not saying we would have had a Marvel kind of thing, but it could have been something really nice. We could have had. There's no reason we couldn't have had 3 more of these. There's no
That's
reason.
what I'm thinking. And the same thing. If we had
Brainiac,
Superman
get-
2, 3, and 4, if they were all like this, where I would say above average movies in general,
Absolutely.
like that would have been amazing. Instead, we have 2 great Christopher Reeve movies, and then 2 movies that people are like, well, Christopher Reeve's great, you know? Like,
Yeah, and it's like the third one. We'll get into it. It's not the epic failure that the fourth one is, but it's not the great success that one and
one's
two.
a lot of Richard Pryor, right?
Richard Pryor. Well, Richard Lester's whole thing was he wanted it to be funny,
Yeah.
and
Who was the funniest guy in the world at that time?
Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So like they wanted to be funny. That was the whole thing. Was humor. And like I like the Donner Vision more. I like the grand epic. I like the romance.
Especially when we're
I
talking
like
about Superman. If
action.
we're talking about, one of these weird heroes here, like if you want to do a Green Lantern thing and get it a little goofy, you want to do a Green Arrow thing, get it a little goofy. When we're talking about the guy, the prototypical, the superhero that everyone's aspiring to be, you can't lean too far into that.
It's also you have comedies at that point. You have, Eddie Murphy. You have Richard Pryor. You have comedian. Why can't this just be what this is? Why can't this be more of this genre of action or of great drama? You have great actors. You have all these talented people. But because the Salkinds, they ran Gene Hackman out. Oh, he comes back for 4, but they ran him out. They ran Brando out. Mm-hmm. And you could say Brando was checked out anyway.
Yeah.
But like regardless, you still could have having Brando in Superman 2 would have made it better than having Susanna York do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't. You know something's missing. It doesn't.
In the Donner cut, they used like the footage that they couldn't use from him, and then I believe they reused test screening footage for some of them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why the movie doesn't
They
quite.
tried to make it work. Yeah.
They did. Like the Donner cut is a good try. They got the permission finally from the Brando estate. I believe Brando had passed away at that time. So they got all the right. They got John Williams. They were able to use the real score from John Williams, so you don't have this kind of like weird version of it.
It's like a Temu version, a little knockoff version of it.
It's like, imagine if this was made the right way. And I know the Donner cut still isn't like complete. Imagine if this was made the right way. Look, this is gonna be a 3.5-star movie for me on Letterboxd. I have this as the second best movie.
Over Batman 66?
It's very close.
Okay.
It's very close. I have this. It's right there for me. I think this is a more entertaining, enjoyable movie. I don't know if it's better. I think Batman 66 oddly might be better made to what it's trying to do, but I feel like this is doing more.
This shoots for more, for sure.
This shoots for more. This fails more.
Yeah, it does.
For sure. I'm not going to defend this. I can't defend the Hypnotic Kiss. I can't defend them saying the changes are permanent. I can't do that. Yeah. But I can defend, like, the stuff with these two is better than anything in Batman 66 in the movie. Not the show, but in the movie, I think. And
certainly makes you feel more than that movie,
It does.
That movie makes you laugh a lot. But
Adam West and Burt Ward stuff's fantastic, and the villain stuff is great. But I don't get enough of the villains. Where we are getting these two a lot, and we're getting Zod too. We're getting great. Like there's so much here, maybe too much. You could argue, way too much. You could argue, stuffed in here. I mean, even think about the beginning. We have Lex Luthor going to the Fortress of Solitude on his own in a hot air balloon. Like this movie is ridiculous. I understand that, but I just like this. Now, where do you have this?
I have this comfortably third. I would go Batman 66, Superman 2, and then massive gap, and then Flash Gordon.
Yes.
I also rate it 3.5 stars, though.
Okay.
I'm with you. First week where we're aligned on the rating, I believe. I like it a lot. I love Terrence Stamp as Zod again. He was first introduced to my life as Chancellor Valorum from The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
I would watch that over and over and over again at my grandma's. This was another movie for me where it wasn't like a huge part of my childhood either. It was a movie that I probably have seen in my life 5 times total, including watching it this weekend.
What have you seen more, Superman 1 or Superman 2 before you?
Oh, 1. Way more. Way more. Yeah.
What did you see more growing up, Superman 2 or Superman 3?
2. 3, I think I've seen in full maybe once or twice, and I've seen, again, like clips of it pop up on Twitter because people make fun of it all the time. But it will be a pretty fresh watch for me when we get to that. Like there will definitely be things in that movie where I go, oh, I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get to that.
It might be so. I saw Superman 3, I think, more than maybe any movie I saw in the 80s. It was always on HBO, like always on. Because I remember that came out, 83, 84, 85, something like that. I was like 5 years old. Like, it was like perfect for me growing up. Like it was just always on. But I haven't seen it, I think, this millennium.
Yeah.
So like,
it'll be fun to recap.
It's a very, like I said, we got more Lester, so we can obviously talk more about like Lester. Then you can really go Lester v. Donner.
Yep.
Because it's not this like weird, like mutt of a movie.
Yeah, Frankenstein. Director movie. Yeah.
I when I was done watching this, I was like, all right, I really enjoyed that. I had a really good time with that. I guess a little similar to Batman 66, where I was still left like a little disappointed. Like, where Batman 66, I wish we had more stuff with the villains, and with this, I wish it had the John Williams score. I wish we had Brando. I wish we had some of those elements. I wish we didn't have a hypnotic kiss. Like, I felt like there was so much potential with this movie that I felt was kind of not delivered on. And that makes it not great to me, but still really good.
100%.
Heavily recommend this.
Yes. Oh, if you haven't seen this and you're a comic book fan, it's a must.
It is, and I think it feels like a comic book.
Also, if you like Man of Steel, like Man of Steel is a very dark, gritty Zack Snyder version of this. He has Zod come down with his two, you know, it's very similar in terms of what he was aiming for with that movie. So if you are a Snyder fan, and I know there's a lot of Snyder fans out there, and you haven't seen this, it's like, you got to go study. You got to do the
for
homework.
sure. For sure, because I think that you might end up, if you really love Snyder, maybe you won't like it, and you might appreciate the Snyder stuff more.
And if you're a Superman fan, you can't watch this and not find at least 5 things you love about it. At least 5 things you love about it.
Oh, I mean, and to the credit of this one, and I love Superman 1 all time, there is way more action in this.
Way more.
So, and I think that stuff works.
Like, if you were showing your kids these movies, I think this one works more as a rewatchable movie for a little kid.
It might. It might, because I mean, the fight scene's a good, like, 25 minutes, like, in the streets of New York, and they're like, just beating the shit out of, like, you got the spire of the Empire State, but like, it's like, it's Times Square. Like, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff they use, I think, is pretty creative and pretty interesting. And you mentioned that space scene's really good.
Love that space scene.
So you do get some.
Even the way Zod just fucking lifts the astronaut and then the rope comes down.
On that, like that, yep.
Where'd he go? He's gone.
And the way they tear that thing apart, like it's just paper.
I also think that's a difference in the Donner cut and the theatrical cut. The elevator from the Eiffel Tower is kind of the thing that blows up in space, blows up like the fucking Death Star, the bomb. And then they come out of the Phantom Zone there. In the Donner cut, I believe it's the nuke from 1.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure.
Because there is no Eiffel Tower.
That is a better, like, connective tissue moment instead of, like, the elevator went up into space.
Also, how did terrorists get an H-bomb?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's quite a thing.
Yeah.
And what were they going to do with it? They were trying to get money. They were letting the hostages go. They released the hostages at some point. It was very confusing what they were doing exactly.
It was Hans Gruber. They were like, we're not real terrorists. Just pose. I don't know.
Why were they in the Eiffel Tower? Seems like a horrible place. It seems like you're cornered there. It seems like a bad place to be.
And then I do laugh at when Superman pushes it up. It's like, did they do that scene by just like he holds onto the bottom of it? A stuntman holds onto the bottom, and we just send the elevator up and then speed it up in post.
Oh, you're probably right.
It's just like silly when you look at it like that, and he pushes it all the way up into space. But yeah, again, for all the messiness we're talking about and criticism that we've given it, it's a really enjoyable movie that is a staple for any Superman fan for sure.
This will definitely be, I think, on the top half of when we're all said and done with this.
I think so too. It'll probably be towards the middle because I wind up giving a lot of movies 3.5 stars. But you're gonna
need to rank them though. That's what I like about this. You need to rank these.
Need to rank them.
You can't just get off and Robbie Fox loves everything. Yeah. That ship has sailed, my friend.
Again, the next 3 movies we're doing: Swamp Thing, Superman 3, and Supergirl. Next week will be Swamp Thing, where science transformed him into a monster, but love changed him even more.
That's the line with science.
Tagline.
What is it? We're love what?
Science transformed him into a monster. Love changed him even more.
Yes. Let's go.